All right, folks, meteorologist Joe Haynes here with you for a Mega 3 live stream broadcast. Let's get you updated on what's happening weather-wise. We'll start out looking at our Willis Knight Mega 3 Doppler radar. And if you're watching some of our broadcasts from this afternoon, you'll notice that we still have that ring around Shreveport here. It looks like the Barksdale bubble that everybody always laughs about, but sometimes it seems like precipitation kind of misses us. And tonight, at least what we're looking at using our Willis Knight Mega 3 Doppler radar is that, yeah, the precipitation is missing us. The way it is missing us, though, is not the way it's showing up on the screen. It's just rain is not reaching the ground. But our radar beam starts out about 125 feet above the ground in Mooringsport, right up there near Caddo Lake. And so as we're shining out 150 miles, the radar beam starts picking up the precipitation as the Earth's curvature goes off, but the radar beam's fairly straight. So we're picking up rain falling about 7,000 feet above the ground still, and not seeing any observations that are indicating it is reaching the ground, although some of these are automated observation sites. I suspect where you see it up in Oklahoma and southwest Arkansas, you're probably getting a few sprinkles by now, but the atmosphere is still fairly dry beneath the cloud deck that the rain is falling out of. And eventually it will moisten up enough to where that rain will start reaching the ground. I think it'll just be light. We don't have a whole lot of time for this to occur, and the precipitation we are picking up at that elevation is fairly light. But the upper level storm that's out to the west will eventually make it here, and that'll help with the dynamic lift, help to moisten up most of the atmosphere. And there could even be an isolated thunderstorm before it's all said and done with here late tonight. But it still looks like the Barksdale bubble there showing on our Willis Knight Meg 3 Doppler radar. Northern sections, you can see the very light rain, and it's just kind of moving to the east-northeast with the upper level wind flow, the steering currents. And you're looking at it across the center part of the Arklatex and then down across our southern sections. Chance of measurable precipitation, it's not big, but what the numbers reflect is a chance of at least 1/100th of an inch of precipitation. Out of 100%, not big odds. So I'm thinking that we're going to see that, but it is possible that you'll have a few areas that'll pick up perhaps 1/10 of an inch. But I think most areas will just be just a little bit of wetting the ground, and that's about it. This is not a very strong weather system, and it's going to weaken some too as it passes by. One thing it does have, though, it is pushing a cold front in here, and there's enough what we call moisture convergence where the front's lifting the air up that you could see a little enhanced area of precipitation or an even isolated thunderstorm. But again, not a big weather maker. And the rain chance even for tomorrow morning early is just slight as that frontal boundary is pushed on down to the south and east. Okay, getting back to today, it was a warm day, 72 the high, 10 degrees above average, 63 the low this morning. The average low is about 40 degrees this time of year. No record set according to the Shreveport National Weather Service. Our KTPS 3 weather watchers got a few here. Ken Wallen in New Boston had a high of 70 today. In Redwater, Chuck Cam reported 72. Close to that for Reed Eisenhower. They're reporting from Texarkana. Vic Scarborough down in Ida, Louisiana, had a high temperature of 70. He actually received a trace of precipitation. Bob Finchers in fabulous downtown Bellevue, 68 earlier today. And Wayne Hadfield over in the Homer area had 70, but he didn't report any rainfall out his way, at least yet. A little bit farther south, June Jones in Elysian Fields there at 74. Bob Baker in the Carthage area at 68. Francis Moody, Cypress Lake in the low 70s. Over in Stonewall, Kay Berry had 73 for her afternoon temperature. Eastern side of the Arklatex, Ronnieville and Ruston at 72. And down toward Clarence, Louisiana, near Natchitoches, 79, according to Barry Howard. Metro area, quite a few reports there. Bob Britton and Sarepta at 70. Molly Rankin and Randall Elliott around the Benton area in the low 70s. Over in Blanchard, Gary Stratton, 72. Shreveport Bossier Metro, we had Mike Lyles, Ronnie Hull, both in Shreveport. Mark Potter in Bossier City, all at 72. And 1 degree warmer down in Keithville, according to Paul Knipp. Weather watchers, thanks for that information and giving us a good feel of what happened across our Arklatex area. Hopefully, we'll see some precipitation numbers here later on this evening or perhaps tomorrow. We need all the rain we can get. I think we'll have a better shot of picking up significant precipitation later on in the week, as we'll discuss in just a moment. Current temperatures, 60s across the area, including 66 in Shreveport, also Texarkana, Ringgold, low 60s over in Marshall, and 63 in Idabel. So generally the 60s. You can see a little green on the map there. That's the computer's indication that it's a little bit cooler back in Oklahoma, and that's where the frontal boundary is that's coming our way, and that'll work slowly through the areas we go through tonight. Here's the water vapor imagery. And so you see the bright colors that are shaded in green. That's where you do have your dynamic lift. And that lift is helping to, by condensation, produce clouds. And that moisture, as it rises, cools and condenses, forming the clouds and eventually precipitation by various processes. And anyway, it'd take forever to talk about that. But bottom line is you can see a little more of the bright green across Oklahoma. So we're getting a little more dynamic lift up that way and probably more precipitation reaching the ground up in Oklahoma. But still, you got the white colors nearby across our Arklatex area that could indicate that we could get a little bit of precipitation. But again, not expecting much. Now, what I do see, though, is a powerful storm system out in the West Coast, and the computer models are fairly excited about bringing that system into the Arklatex on Saturday. But until then, here's what we have going on: satellite and radar imagery. So our upper level system is, it's near Abilene now. So east of that, that's where you have the most lift and a heavier precipitation up toward Wichita Falls and the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So I think some of that will move on over in the Arklatex and at least wet the ground for us, but not a big weather maker tonight. That disturbance is pushing this front down. It was stationary, but now the computer shows it moving. And so I think once that pushes through, that'll also enhance our ability to get measurable rain to the ground. Just, again, not a whole lot. Behind the front, you got the 50s in Oak City, 39 in Amarillo, 54 over in San Angelo. Ahead of the fronts in the 60s, Dallas, Austin, Houston, of course, in Shreveport and Little Rock. So still waiting for all this to come on through here later on tonight. Precision cast indicates this one computer model is called the GFS. Not real excited about much in the way of precipitation showing up in the green colors. It does move the front on down south. Clouds and white start breaking up as we head into your Wednesday. So decreasing clouds, and I think tomorrow's going to be a nice day. It's just we had quite a bit of cloudiness around today, and I think the clouds will break up as we head toward tomorrow morning. This one, computer model, is more of a short-term type variety. This is from the midday HRRR. I always get it wrong there, but this short-term computer model most of the time does pretty well and takes data from the near term to come up with its solution. What you see in green, the rain, heavier rain possibly in the northern part of the area, and with the frontal boundary up that way and a little more dynamic push there from that disturbance as it's translating across the I-30 corridor, could indicate you might see a little bit of rain that reaches the ground and heavier precipitation amounts according to this model. That's about 2 a.m. Elsewhere, it's very scattered, very showery-like, and then the clouds and white are clearing out by 7. That seems pretty logical as that disturbance moves by and pushes the front on through our area. Future rainfall, this is still from the GFS, the first model I was using, and there's not a lot, and I really don't expect a whole lot. It'd just be an isolated area, or you might pick up more than 1/10 of an inch, but very light rainfall. That's all I'm expecting there. Tonight, 57 to low, showers around and possibly wetting the streets and what have you. Upper 40s in the Queen, 57 Shreveport, 60 down toward Natchitoches. So a fairly mild night for this time of year. And then tomorrow, well, we warm right back up there, even though the front will be down to our south and east. Not a very strong front. Wind out of the northwest at 10, but we're still in the 70s. A little bit of rain possible early in the morning, followed by clearing as we venture through the rest of the day. Temperature-wise, 70s pretty much from I-20 south, northern sections, possibly the upper 60s. But again, not a very strong front. Now, as we look into the future here, here's tonight's storm system, and that's where that dashed line is. That's a little trough. So the storm weakening as it comes through, but it will translate through tonight. Here's a weekend storm. It's a very amplified storm. So in its current state, it's a pretty powerful storm, and it will dump a lot of rain in the lower elevations of California and a lot of snow in the higher elevations. So it's a potent system that sits there for a couple of days, and then finally it starts working our way. And you see every once in a while you get a little circle. There's a little closed off, low closed circulation there. And that's an indication that it's a fairly strong system still by the time it gets into our neck of the woods. And this is Saturday afternoon. And so east of that, where you see Shreveport, you see a little bit of a separating of those lines. The jet stream, the upper level river wind kind of flows parallel to those lines, especially at this altitude. This is what we call the 500 millibar level. But anyway, long story short, it looks like a powerful storm on paper here. And if that is the case and it arrives in our area sometime Saturday afternoon and evening, it's possible that the surface component of that could give us some trouble with the potential for severe weather. But this forecast is changing. It's not 100% set in stone. That system, the way it's looking right now, moves to the east of us by Sunday. And so Saturday afternoon and evening, it indicates being the troubled time here, at least for that level of the program. The surface features, what you see there's the red line, that's a warm front. That little kind of dash line there, that's a dry line. Then you have the surface cold front showing up in blue and the surface low. So this is about lunchtime where I drew it in there. And so we're still sitting pretty good in the Arclitex, but then we get into the 5 o'clock time frame. And if this forecast comes to fruition, we're looking at the surface low near Dallas-Fort Worth and the warm front possibly hanging out across the state line. But again, this, I drew that in, and there's a big area where the isobar shows the circulation, so the closed low. So anyway, there's going to be some little differences here, and the forecast may change its timing. It may change its intensity with the next successive runs. But the way it was looking at this time, there could be some pretty tough weather here. Heavy rain showing up in the yellow and orange colors, and that we do need. South of that warm front, that would be the warm sector, and there's enough dynamics with this system, enough what we call wind shear, and enough instability, not the greatest, but enough instability and enough moisture to where not only could we see heavy rain, but there's that potential for severe storms. And even what we call the temperature lapse rate in the atmosphere is sufficient to give us storms that produce hail. And so anyway, long story short, enough wind shear there to give us severe weather, all the above if they come together, and if this forecast comes to fruition. The weather system, and even you can see some of the isobars that were drawn in after I ran this model showed the thing possibly slowing down. But it does show the precipitation, and it looks like some fairly heavy rain and could be some pretty strong storms. This is 10 p.m. Saturday evening, so it does show rain and hefty thunderstorm type rains coming through the Arclitex during our Mardi Gras, the Crew of Gemini. Again, this may change, and hopefully it does, where it's a little slower if we're going to have it, maybe slow it down so we can get all the festivities in or race it through faster. We won't know here probably for another day or so if the models are going to really agree on this. But anyway, this particular forecast does not bode well for the Crew of Gemini. That's the bottom line. Then this moves through, and the Sunday, you still got a little lingering rain, possibly around the backside of it with the upper level system coming through. And it would be fine for the highland, but of course the Gemini is the biggest parade there. So anyway, we'll continue to monitor this. Again, this forecast not set in stone. And the surface low, if the surface storm, if it takes a little more of a southerly track, that'll mean perhaps just rain for us. If it takes a little more northerly track, then we're in the zone where we could see some pretty rough weather. So anyway, we'll continue to monitor that for you. I wish I had better news, but also wish I had a more up-to-date forecast, and we'll certainly work on that here over the next couple of days. Just give us a day or two, and I think everything will line up and give us a final answer to what everybody's probably wondering about. Are we going to get stormed out for the Crew of Gemini parade? Rain amounts with this particular model run were good, 1.5 to 2 inches, but this is a medium range model run, so not as exact on the placement of all that business. All right, here's the 7-day forecast. About as clear as mud, I guess you might say. 74 tomorrow, slight chance of rain early, and then sunshine for the afternoon. 70s on Thursday with sunshine, slight chance of rain there on Friday, highs in the upper 70s to near 80, and then the stormy weather possible on your Saturday afternoon and evening, highs in the 70s, slight chance of rain for Sunday, highs in the lower 70s, and then decent weather as we get into the first of next week. You do notice it is a very warm forecast for the next 7 days with highs in the 70s and lows generally in the 50s and 60s. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. Stay tuned. We'll have more information and we'll get you updated on your news, weather, and sports at 9 on KPXJ CW21. And then we got the KTBS 3 news at 10. So do stay tuned, and we'll continue to unravel this mystery for a Saturday concerning our forecast. Well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you back in just a bit.